Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I'm back in Spain and I'm using some of the time to edit the things that I painted before leaving. And I hope you're all having a great end of the year and have nice plans ahead for the holidays. In this video I'm painting some Last Alliance men and Elendil. As I mentioned before, some of these Last Alliance men I converted, so I'm going to show you what I did there. But first I'm showing you the cleaning process and unwrapping of the two minis that I got here, Elendil and Isildur. Most of the Last Alliance men I also had to strip down and re-prime, but as you can see here there was one that I considered to be nicely painted by its previous owner, so I let it be as it was. Here's this group of minis already stripped and repositioned, some of them, and I ended up having more than this because I will show you in my next video that I've got much more material to work on. But that's like a Christmas present to myself, and I will show you that in my next video. I'm showing you here what I did to generate some new poses of these minis. For some of them I just cut their arms and made a new position for that, but for a couple of them I also experimented with carving out the black where the shield is supposed to go, and then I duplicated some of the arms with green stuff, which is a bit rough as you can see, but that allowed me to have a position with both arms open, which I think generates an interesting variation. I started by painting black on the coats, also on all the metallics as a base coat, and also on the background of the shield. And with a mix of black and flat brown, I painted the leather parts, such as the boots and the gloves. I continued by painting the rim of the clothes with dark gray, and also used that dark gray to base coat the swords. And also the same dark gray to give a highlight to the very top of the cloaks and to the crevices on the robes. Then I base coated their undercloaks with Iraqi sand. and used beige red to base coat all the skin. I used sky gray to highlight all the parts that were painted before with dark gray. I painted all the metallics like the armbands and the swords with chainmail, and then gave it a wash with null oil. Then I used Retributor armor to paint the golden details like the pommel of the sword or the edge of the wings on their helmets. And then I applied a wash with flesh wash to the faces, which was the only visible skin. Finally, I used ivory to add to the Iraqi sand to make successive highlights on the clothing. I used basic skin tone to give some highlights to the faces. And then I continued with the basing. In this occasion, I wanted to do a Mordor style base, and I thought that dark ground with rocky formations would make the trick, and that's what I went for. I glued some cork to the different bases and also some sand, and then painted everything with black. Here are some examples of the bases before painting them black and after. I did a dry brush with sky gray. And then for the ground itself, I used a mix of burnt red with burnt amber. And then a light dry brush with ochre brown. To paint Elendil, I decided that I would not film it, since for me it's still a bit difficult to focus on the painting while I have my mobile phone on the middle just to record. And what I decided was just to take pictures as I was progressing in the painting process. So that's what I'm going to show you. I started by base coating the face with dark red. And then I gave a first base tone with beige red. I made a mix of dark red and beige red to hit the middle of those two colors. And then I made a highlight with basic skin tone. I continued by painting the beard with flat brown, and then I gave a first light with beige brown. I hit the in between of those two colors with a mix of the two, and then I added a slight amount of Iraqi sand to the beige brown to highlight the uppermost parts, or in the case of the hair flowing out the helmet, I just hit the tips of that. I painted the piece of cloth around his neck with dark red, and then I highlighted it by adding some carmine red to that, and just a small amount of bright orange to carmine red to the final highlight. Next, I wanted to start painting the helmet, and this is where I had to decide whether I wanted to do a first attempt to make a whole miniature with non-metallic metal, or just go with the regular metallics. And at this point I was feeling confident, so I decided to just go for it, and I started painting all the silver bits with dark gray. And I also base coated the parts that I wanted to go with gold with beige brown. Next, I decided that it might be cool to use pastel blue for a transition to give more of a cold tone to the whole thing, but yeah, in the end I didn't end up liking the result after adding the in between with a mix of pastel blue and sky gray, and in the end I just decided to repaint everything with dark gray. At this point I wasn't feeling so confident about the whole non-metallic metal thing, so I went on with other parts of the miniature. For the moment I painted the cloak with Macrage blue from Citadel, and I gave that a couple of coats before it was solid enough. And then I started in the inner part of the cloak with Iraqi sand. Also 3 layers were needed for that. I painted the robes around the legs with burnt red as a base color, and then painted some of the shadows by adding some black to that base tone, and carmine red and orange as with the neck part for the highlights. At this point I painted the lights and shadows on the cape with some just by mixing black and pure white to the Macrage blue that I use for the base tone. And I highlighted also the inside part by adding some ivory to the Iraqi sand. At this point I sketched where I thought the light would hit for the non-metallic metal on the armor, and I used sky gray for that. And then I tried to smoothen the transitions by mixing the colors, just applying at intermediate points, but I'm clearly still not at the point of doing this with confidence. So I just decided to leave it at the point that you can see here. I think the positions of the lights might be okay, but it's clearly not a smooth transition. So yeah, I mean, I need to practice more and maybe watch more videos or read more about this, because I'm not completely sure of what was going wrong at the process. Maybe I need to practice more blending, but yeah, this is how I decided to leave it. And with that I proceeded to do a base for Elendil in a similar way of the ones that I already showed. This is how the whole group of minis looks like together, and I also ended up adding some Deadland tops because I thought it would fit with the overall look of a Mordor landscape, to have still some vegetation that has died there. And yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I'm leaving Isildur for a future video. Probably I'll try to do also non-metallic on that, but at a point where I'm more confident with my whole skill. So that's it for the moment. In the next video I will show you what I got for myself as a Christmas present. So I hope you all have a nice holiday, and see you in next videos. Bye bye.